Fantasy is the genre of magic, mythical creatures, epic quests, and limitless imagination. But why should you write fantasy? Today, I'm diving into what makes fantasy so special, why it's worth your time, and how it can transform not only your writing, but your creative life. Whether you're new to the genre or a seasoned storyteller, stick around, this is going to be magical. Fantasy is the ultimate escape. It's a genre where the impossible becomes possible. In our everyday lives, we're bound by rules, gravity, logic, time. But in fantasy, the rules are yours to create. Want a world where the moon is inhabited by wizards? Go for it. Want characters who can breathe underwater or talk to dragons? It's all fair game. Fantasy isn't just escapism, though. It's a way to explore the deepest truth about humanity. Through imaginary worlds, we can ask big questions about morality, love, power, and resilience. What does it mean to be a hero? How far would someone go for their dreams? Fantasy gives us a safe space to wrestle with these exact same ideas. Fantasy has a massive, passionate audience. From the Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter, these stories create communities. Readers fall in love with these worlds because they're immersive and they inspire hope, wonder, and connection. And let's not forget the sheer creativity. Fantasy readers crave the extraordinary. They want to be transported to places that challenge their imagination and make them think, what if? As a fantasy writer, you have the power to give them that experience yourself. One of the most exciting parts of fantasy is world building. You're not just writing a story, you're crafting an entire universe. This is your chance to play God. Decide how magic works, what cultures exist, what history shaped your world. It's a creative sandbox, and every design or decision adds richness to your narrative. Also, don't worry, it doesn't all have to be on the page. The key is to create enough detail to make your world feel real to you, so your readers believe it's real too. And hey, world building is fun. Who doesn't love inventing a new language, or imagining the politics of a kingdom ruled by dragons, for instance? At its heart, fantasy is about universal themes, such as courage, friendship, sacrifice, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. These stories resonate because they reflect our world through a fantastical lens. They remind us of what we're capable of and why we fight for what we believe in. Think about it. Frodo carrying the One Ring is a symbol of resilience from the Lord of the Ring. Harry Potter's fight against Voldemort teaches us about love and unity. These aren't just stories, they're also reflections of who we are and who we aspire to be. Okay, so you're ready to dive in. Where do you want to start? First, figure out what excites you about fantasy. Is it epic quests, dark, mysterious magic, or maybe morally complex characters? Always start with what you love, because your passion will come through in your writing. Once you understand what you want to write about, let's discuss some strategies to help you implement your game plan and create your own fictional world. 1. Choose a subgenre. 2. Research tropes. And 3. Build your world. You should pick a subgenre. Are you writing epic fantasy like Game of Thrones, or urban fantasy like The Mortal Instruments? Each has its own tropes and expectations, so get familiar with them. Read widely, take notes, and think about how you can add your own unique twist to your own story. Fantasy isn't just about dragons and magic. It's a mirror reflecting the depth of your soul. It's about the unique tapestry of your experiences, woven into worlds that only you can create. Your voice, your imagination, your perspective, they're not just valuable, they're essential. Think about the stories that have touched you, the worlds that have captivated you. Now, imagine your story doing that for someone else. Imagine the comfort, the inspiration, the spark of recognition you could ignite. The truth is, there's a reader out there waiting for your story, someone who needs to see the world through your eyes. So, don't hold back. Don't let fear or doubt silence your creativity. Pick up a pen, open that document, and start writing today. Start dreaming, start building. The world needs your magic. Bring your world to life and let your voice soar. For the topic of emphasis on emotional connection, writers should always prioritize their own creative passion, in addition to writing with a specific target audience in mind. This can be a specific group of people, ideology, or creed you identify with, or it can simply be a group of people you want to share your writing with for you to receive constructive feedbacks and grow as an emerging author. Writing, in essence, is a mirror reflecting the depth of your soul. Imagine the comfort, the inspiration, the spark of recognition you could ignite. The truth is, there is always a reader out there waiting for your story, someone who needs to see the world through your own creative eyes. So, you want to write fantasy for a script? Here are 8 quick tips to make your world feel immersive and your story unforgettable for your readers. For tip number 1, world building in one line. You should always first try establishing your world fast. Instead of a long description, sum it up in one line, like a floating kingdom where magic fuels the tides. That's all you need to hook your audience. For tip number 2, magic needs rules. Magic isn't a free pass. Give it some limits and consequences. Maybe spells erase memories, so the more you cast, the more you forget. That's a good example. For tip number 3, unique character voices. Each character should sound different. A noble king won't talk like a street rogue. Make sure their dialogue reflects who they are and their social standing, etc. For tip number 4, show, don't tell. Instead of explaining, reveal details through action, like this. The knight wipes glowing blue blood from his blade. That example tells us so much more without a long, winded explanation. For tip number 5, start with a hook. You should always aim to grab attention with an intriguing story opening, something like, the sun hasn't risen in 20 years, and today, the last candle burns out. Boom, instant mystery. For tip number 6, use sensory details sparingly. A few well-placed details can make a scene pop. Think about sound, sight, and smell, but don't overload the audience with description. For tip number 7, no info dumps. You should always know that lore is important, but don't dump it all at once. Instead, weave it into dialogue and action naturally among your characters within your story and plot. For tip number 8, keep it moving. Every scene should push the story forward. If a moment doesn't add anything to the plot meaningfully, consider cutting it. Follow these tips and your fantasy script will keep audiences hooked. Now, go create something epic. Let's talk about how to build a fantasy world that feels real. To start off, let's talk about creating culture and traditions. What do people believe in your world? What rituals shape their lives? Secondly, let's also discuss geography and environment. Is your world a frozen wasteland or a city floating in the sky? That's some good points to consider. Another good point would be creating laws and power structures. Who rules? Is magic controlled, feared, or outlawed in your world? And finally, everyday life details matters a whole lot. What do people eat, wear, or do for fun? What's their culture like? Tiny details make a big impact in your story. When it comes towards creating dialogue between characters in your fantasy writing, there's a thin line of delicacy that ought to be observed. To start off, when you write, the fantasy dialogue shouldn't sound robotic or overly complicated. Here's what to keep in mind. Avoid overly formal speech. Not every fantasy character talks like Shakespeare, and individuals from different walks of life should talk in fashion and mannerism corresponding to their role in your story and plot. Furthermore, be sure to use unique speech patterns. A wizard might sound cryptic, while a rogue is quick-witted. Just like in the real life, each and every person is unique and has a different background. Be sure to reflect this in your creative works too. Also, you should always try to limit exposition and dialogue. Don't make characters explain the world to each other unnaturally. Also, as a last point, always read your work aloud. If it sounds forced, rewrite it. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Fantasy isn't just about creating worlds. It's about connecting with people. Every word you write is an invitation for someone to step into your imagination, to share your dreams, and to see the world through your eyes. Whether you write to inspire, to entertain, or to simply escape, your story has the potential to make a difference. So, grab your pen, your notebook, or your keyboard, and take that first step. Your world is waiting to be discovered, and trust me, someone out there is waiting to read it.